Welcome to Ladies Who Jazz, where each month I interview and feature a different female jazz musician. Today we have Anna Majidson, who sings and also plays guitar. And Anna, thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. Where are we currently based right now?
So right now we're in Montreal in Quebec, Canada. And I've been living here this is my 4th year.
And how did you get started on jazz?
Both of my parents are jazz musicians, so I don't even think I was given a choice. It was more like if I wanted to be a part of the family, it was like, yeah, you gotta play an instrument, you know. And I remember, like, as I was learning how to read, like, I was learning how to read music at the same time. Like, I remember my dad, like, making computer games where we would have to read solfege and stuff. And I don't know, everybody in my family plays music, like my aunt, my grandma, my grandfather. So it was just, I don't know, just kind of had to do it. Had to get with it.
What's your musical training? Are you formally trained, or did you pick it up by yourself, or a little bit of both?
I'd say neither. It was more my dad who'd, like, sit me and my brother down, and, like, I think around, like, when I was 11, I started guitar, and I think the first song was Cherokee. And my brother started out on clarinet, so he would play clarinet while I would play Cherokee. And, like, yeah, I still have that chart somewhere. I did a lot of choir. I did 7 years of choir, and that was definitely formally, like, a formal training. Before guitar, it was all my dad and my mom, for sure.
That's really cool. And speaking of your dad and your mom, they're part of a gypsy jazz group called the Hot Club of San Francisco, right?
Yeah, my dad stopped this year, but my mom is still, like, the main lady of the Hot Club, and they also have their own duo, and that they do gypsy jazz and, like, all kinds of jazz and also blues, and so they're definitely still with it.
Who are your top 3 jazz influences?
Billie Holiday, Ella Fitzgerald, and Chet Baker, and Stacey Kent, who, like, also sings in French, and she's pretty contemporary compared to the other 3, but, like, she's definitely, like, half my repertoire is, like, from her. And I'd have to put my parents in there as well, because I pretty much just copy and pasted their repertoire. So, yeah, to be fair.
How has jazz influenced your playing, singing, and original compositions?
If I had to narrow it down, like, the biggest factor, especially for my musical compositions, because I do a lot of songwriting, it would be, like, just the soul behind the songwriting in jazz. Like, it's so much looser than classical upbringing, where it's very analytical. Like, in jazz, if you don't have soul when you're playing, like, it's immediately, you know, like, from the start you can kind of see it, like, and you're soloing, and especially in singing, which is such a vulnerable activity, especially listening to Ella and Billie, who had such tortured experiences, and you could totally hear it through their singing. Like, that, being able to incorporate my story the way that they did and put it into my musical compositions, that's basically composition to me, is like putting your own experience in a musical organized way, you know. And Billie and Ella did that like nobody else, so, and they taught me how to do that.
What are you currently doing now in Montreal, and what do you have coming up? I know you've played with Dennis Chang a bunch, and what do you have to tell the audience out there? What's going on?
My main project is more of a pop R&B soul type of, it's a duo. We're based in Montreal. We've got an EP coming out in 2 weeks, and that's pretty much been monopolizing my whole time, except when I'm in school doing philosophy, because I'm majoring in philosophy. So if I'm not playing jazz, I'm writing for that duo or rehearsing, because we have a bunch of live shows coming up, and yeah, that's my main gig right now, is focusing on this duo.
And where can people find you online?
The duo I'm talking about is called Ut, Haute. You can find it on SoundCloud, on YouTube, on Facebook. My jazz stuff you can find on my personal SoundCloud, Anna Majidson.
How is it being a musician in Canada versus the States or in Europe?
Well, I've really only played in Montreal, so I'm just going to speak about that. I feel really lucky because Montreal is a very local scene. Everybody's got each other's back in the community. you know, my network it's pretty much all artists, and we can really put each other up, like, where we're playing and support each other. There's a real sense of community, and it's such a cultural city, like, it's so vibrant. I'm not sure if there's the same thing in the States in the same way, because everybody's trying to make it out here, and so everybody's down to hold each other down, and I've been really appreciative of that.
What challenges have you faced to continue to do what you do, and how did you overcome them?
I think the biggest challenge is having to focus on school as well as music, because I tried doing that the first year, and like I just failed my year, because like you just can't do both at the same time. Like you have to prioritize school over music most of the time, which is a shame. And I'm really looking forward to having time just to do music. And like the other greatest challenge would be like just the winter here. Like it messes up your instrument. Like my guitar, like the humidity completely, or like the lack of humidity really ruined the wood. You got to know how to handle that. You got to know how to adapt your instrument to the change in temperature.
For the girls and women out there who would like to start playing jazz, what kind of tip or advice can you give to them?
You got to be confident. You got to work it. A lot of the time when I play jazz, like the guys will just be broing out, and you can be often left out just because you're a girl. You can't ignore that as a girl you will be treated differently, but you can't react aggressively towards that. You can't alienate who you're working with, because that's not going to get you anywhere. Whenever you're at a disadvantaged situation, it's just an opportunity for you to rise to the occasion. It just means you got to hustle that much harder. You got to work that much harder, and that has to be motivation. It can't be something that discourages you.
For the audience out there, can you share a musical tip, trick, or concept to them?
Yeah, something I've learned mostly from like coaches I've seen, or like random jazz classes that I'd be in for singing specifically, but it also goes for playing, and I love this tip because it's so organic. Like right before you get on stage, right before you start the song you're about to start, you got to put yourself in the story of the song. And most of the time you don't even have to make up, because the songs you're singing are relatable to like who you are and what you're doing. You got to get into the emotions that the song is going to incorporate. You got to get into the catharsis of the song, because the audience can see it immediately when you're singing a song and you don't care about the song you're singing. Like they can see it, and it doesn't reflect well. It's not, you know, like when people go see a show, they want to see expression so that they can feel it inside of themselves as well. And that's why I think it's so important to be emotional in what you're doing.
For the audience out there, if you've enjoyed this interview and would like to see other ladies who jazz, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you are a lady who plays jazz or know of someone who does and would like to see them featured on this show, please contact me here or on my website, lisalouguitar.com. I'm Lisa Lou. This is Anna Majidson. Keep shedding.